Today, I'm going to be sharing with you our June Craft Club subscription tutorials where I put the entire kits together so you can get some inspiration on how to finish and assemble your kits. So without further ado, let's jump in. For our first kit, this comes in box 1, 2, and 3. This adorable lemon tree in a pot. I just love it. If you get box 2 and 3, you're also going to get this 6x6 paper pad that you can use on your kit. We've got a fruit theme going on for our June subscription, and I am just loving it. Here are all the pieces that come with this kit. So if you need to reference anything, you can come back to this portion of the video. The first thing I'm going to do is paint our lemon tree, and I'm going to go back and forth in between 2 different green colors. I blended them together so that the tree wasn't just one flat green color. Now I'm taking an even darker shade of green, and I'm going to paint our lemon leaves with that green. Now I'm going to gather up all the pieces that we are going to paint white, starting with the spindle portion of the tree. I gave that one good coat, and then all the little flowers I'm also going to paint white. Now the third little flower on those groupings of 3, you don't need to paint that because that will be covered up. For the top portion of our pot, I'm going to use the Waverly Wax in Antique. I use that like a stain, paint it off, and then use a paper towel to wipe off the excess. I also used it on our base piece, and then I also used it on the little decorative pieces on the pot. After I was done painting those, I did take my brush that had a little bit of the excess Waverly Wax, and I went over the spindle to give it more of a rusted look. For our lemons, I'm using a very bright yellow, and I gave those one coat. Now, a trick to make painting all those little mini flowers a little bit easier is to take some tape and then add the pieces to it so they're stuck down. Then you don't have to hold them and try to paint them at the same time. So I took all those little pieces, stuck them down to the tape, and painted them the same color that we used to paint the lemons. For the main pot piece, I am going to use a piece of our scrapbook paper. I'm going to take our pot and lay that down onto our paper, trace it out, and then cut it out. I did make sure not to cover the little indentation at the bottom where your base is going to fit into that because it will make it harder for your base to go on. Now to adhere our paper, I'm going to do a little trick with some Mod Podge. I'm just going to cover everywhere where that paper is going to be with your Mod Podge. I'm going to dry that using my heat gun, or you could just leave it out, let that Mod Podge completely dry, and then I'm going to lay my paper down on top of it with some parchment paper. I'll add that parchment paper right on top, and then using my mini heat press, I'm going to use that on high and go over the entire piece of paper. This is going to reactivate your Mod Podge and get your paper to stick to your piece. And I prefer this way because I don't like using Mod Podge when it's wet. I'm going to go through and start assembling my piece using some wood glue super glue that you can get from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to start by doing the pot pieces, adding that top piece first, and then adding your spindle. I'll go through and add those little embellishments on the pot. Before I stuck any of my lemons and flowers down, I did want to add a little bit of detail to the bush itself. I took a darker green and just went around all the little curves on the sides. I also did some little details onto our lemon leaves using a lighter green, just adding some highlights. When you're gluing your lemons down, you want to make sure that you are putting them in the correct place because your lemons will match up with the lemon leaves specifically. There are engravings on the back so you can see where everything goes and match everything up accordingly. So just make sure you're paying attention when you're gluing those leaves down to match them up with the correct lemon. After you have your lemons down, you can start gluing down your flowers. You are going to take one flower and add it on top of that little mini flower piece on the 3 flower bundles. You can see right there, I'm just adding it right on top. And then with your little mini flower middles, I like taking some tweezers to handle the little pieces. I just add some glue to the middle, use my tweezers to pick up that small piece and add it down. And then you can follow the engravings on the back of the tree to glue all of your flowers down. After I've done that, I'm just going through with just a little bit more detail just to make things look a little bit more fun and interesting, just with some white paint, adding some lines, some dots. You can do this, you can skip this step, it really is up to you. But that is it for our kit number 1, 2, and 3 that comes in all 3 boxes. This one is so fun, especially for the summertime with our little lemon theme. Now, if you're new here and you didn't know, I have a monthly subscription box where every month you can get a craft kit sent straight to your door with 3 different box options. You can get exactly what you want in your subscription box. So head over to my website, click that Join Our Craft Kit, and you can sign up to receive this kit in the month of June by signing up in June. After June, these kits will no longer be available, so if you want to snag our fruit-themed kits, make sure to sign up in June. Now moving on to our craft kit that comes in box 3, we have this truck with some watermelons in the back. You're also going to get 2 accessory items, which this month is a stencil and some ephemera, which again are that fruit theme, and I think these are just super adorable. So we're going to go through all the pieces that come with this kit so that you can do a little inventory and reference this when you are looking at your pieces. Now you can paint your truck whatever color you want. I decided to paint mine blue. This comes from Dixie Belle. It's a chalk paint and I just love this color so much. It's called Bunker Hill Blue. Super, super fun. And I went around the entire truck, painted it blue. This has a lot of engravings on the back so you can see exactly where you need to paint your truck portion of your design. I'm also going to paint that back tailgate that same color. Now for some of our smaller details, like around the truck window, our side mirrors, things like that, I am going to take a paint marker. I used the silver color and I just slowly went around and painted the entire thing. So keep that in mind when you are painting smaller details. Sometimes using a paint pen or a paint marker is a lot easier than just using paint and a paintbrush. Now we wanted to give our truck a nice rustic look to it. So I took some burnt sienna paint on a small paintbrush and I'm just going around and adding little rusty marks here and there, mostly around the edges, but you can do this wherever you see fit. If you don't want your truck to look old and rusty, you can completely skip this step, but I personally like the old rustic look. So I just took that paint and went anywhere that I thought it would look good rusted. Moving on to our bumper, I'm just taking some gray paint and painting the sides that gray. The middle is going to be covered up, so no need to paint that. For our license plate, I went through with paint pens and some markers from the Dollar Tree and went around those engraved letters with a white, and then on the outside I used a silver. For your tires, I'm just going to paint this black for both the backing portions of the tire, and then for the top portions I also used the black. Now time to paint our watermelon. I'm using a lighter green for the back parts. You only need to paint this half watermelon and then the one standalone watermelon piece because that is going to cover the other one. Now I am not great at freehanding, so this was a trial and error for me. What I found worked best was to take a darker green and on a very thin paintbrush, I drew some lines down the watermelon to make it look like the little, lines of a watermelon. And then I did some dabbing motions with back and forth just until I had the watermelon looking exactly how I wanted it to. You can see the back and forth motions that I'm doing on this one, and I felt like that really helped make it look like a watermelon. But if you are better freehand than I am, then you could make this look really good. But just know I am terrible at freehanding, and I was able to make this resemble somewhat of a watermelon, so I'm sure you'll be able to make it look perfect. And on any mistakes, I just went back with that lighter green color that we used And I just went back and forth between the two colors until I got it looking the way that I wanted it to. I also went in with some white and did little dashes here and there. And then again, went back in with that lighter green to cover up any mistakes that I made. And in the end, I think it turned out really good. For your watermelon slice, I am going to take a darker green for the outside rind color. I also did mix in a little bit of some lighter green just to give it a good gradient. For the middle portion, I'm just using a red going around all those engraved lines. And then for the seeds on the inside, I used a black paint pen. For those taillights, I also used that same red to paint the middle. For the outside, I used a silver paint pen. Moving on to the backing of our watermelon, you're going to go through and paint all your leaves. I just take some extra time and make sure that I'm not getting into those engraved lines, so the engraved lines really stand out. For the little viney pieces, I used a burnt sienna color and painted those. For our flowers, I'm going to paint those yellow, and then for the middle portions, I'm going to take a darker yellow and paint those. For our letters, I just used some white and gave those one good coat. For our tailgate, I wanted to use the stencil that comes with the kit, and I'm going to take a red, the same red that we used for our watermelon, and on a small brush, I'm going to do up and down dabbing motions. This is going to help prevent bleeding. You don't want to swipe, you want to do up and down. Now it's time to start assembling our kit, again using that wood glue super glue that we get from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to add my tailgate on first, lining it up with those engraved lines, and then adding the backing of our watermelon second. You're going to add your single watermelon piece to the bundle of watermelons, and then glue those down onto the backing. Now you can add your bumper and license plate part. Again, there's engraved lines, so you know exactly where to put it. Add your license plate right on top. Put your little tail lights on and add your wheels. You're going to add all of your letters on, and again, there are engraved lines, so you can see exactly where they go. Add the middle portions to your flowers. Just use a tiny amount of this glue, add those right on top, and then you can add your flowers on top of your leaves. Add your little side mirror pieces to the back. And then the last step that I did was take some detail paintbrushes and some white and black paint and did little embellishments, little dots and lines, little stripes, anything to add some more interest to the piece, make it look a little bit more dimensional. And I think it turned out really cute. Let me know what your favorite color is to paint trucks. If you like truck decor, if you're into fruit decor, I just think that these were so perfect for the summertime, and I just think they're absolutely adorable. Again, if you want to snag this fruit themed craft kits, make sure to go over to my website, click join our craft club, and sign up in the month of June. Again, after June, these will no longer be available. In July, we are having our fall themed kits, so be excited for that. Make sure to sign up if you haven't already so that you can sign up for our holiday kits starting in July. I cannot wait. Fall, Halloween, Christmas, all the things. I am so excited for what's to come. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful, and I will see you in our next one. Bye!